We finally did it. Multiplayer Gaming Podcast has a Patreon you can join right now. You can now get exclusive access to our Discord server and see behind the scenes as we talk about the games you know and love, as well as uncover those gems you haven't heard of yet. You can have the chance to game with Josh, Paul, and I, and get sweet custom shirts, games, stickers, and more. Just go to multiplayersquad.com to sign up for the Patreon. Hello, you're listening to the Multiplayer Podcast Bonus Round. We're a video game podcast that covers different games and news, and sometimes we like to take a break and have a bonus round episode where we answer questions that no one was asking. Tonight, we are covering best and or favorite co-op games. My name is Todd. Let me log in here to player one. And then I have with me my co-op, Paul.
Yeah, hey Todd. We're going to log in here and co-op?
And co-op. And it's just us two again, Paul.
No.
Just us two.
It's just us. I think we're alone now. There doesn't seem to be anyone around.
You missed one episode because you're on vacation with your family, and this is what happens.
Do you not have internet in the woods?
No. I legitimately did not.
I thought they had internet everywhere.
You would think.
Not in the middle of the woods.
It's like electricity. It's natural.
Todd and I did say in the last episode that we weren't sure we were going to allow Josh to come back, but it was a close vote. We did vote Josh back in.
It was 2-1 for Josh to come back in.
Yeah, who got 2 votes?
We assumed you were a yes.
I abstain.
Now we're on the fence.
Yeah.
It could go either way. We need to have a feats of strength.
Wait,
episode.
are you going to introduce me at all, Todd?
Oh, and every once in a while you get a player 3 in a co-op game. Josh.
A new challenger approaches.
Glad to have you here, buddy.
Thanks.
I missed you.
It's good to be back. I missed you guys.
Yeah, welcome back, Josh.
Paul and I literally had a discussion before last week, or before the last episode. Josh is the talker out of the group. We need to make sure we talk so we can get to the 30-minute length of the episode, because it might come up short without the talker.
Anything without me comes up short. So what I'm hearing is you guys missed me.
We missed you a lot, bud.
We did.
That's so sweet,
I think
guys.
all the listeners missed you. The one guy who wrote a Patreon review that says Josh talks, I laugh.
He didn't laugh once.
He did.
Or nonstop Dr. Dan 2.
He spent all episode waiting.
I'll never go on vacation again. I'm sorry.
All right, guys. Co-op games. I want this to be, us in the woods with Josh and his family, maybe talking about co-op games. I want to hear our best and favorite and some memories, some good stories around those co-op games.
I like it. I'm excited to talk about this. I have always loved co-op games. I feel like I played a lot of them in my teenage years, so I'm very excited to see what games stick out to you guys and share a couple memories.
Do you guys feel like there's not as many good co-op games anymore?
Well, there's not as many good campaigns anymore. I feel like it's either we're all multiplayer, multiplayer online versus PvP, or all the way on the other side where it's Fallout, where it's or The Witcher, where it's a super huge, expansive RPG, but it's only single player.
I feel like things have definitely moved towards the competitive side of things. And I feel like we've moved away from co-op. Maybe it's just me, maybe it's some nostalgia, but I feel like there was a time when a lot of games for the consoles were good co-op games. And then once they realized the popularity of competitive games, that just took over like gangbusters. And so I feel like there's not as many good co-op games anymore.
Well, and for a while, I think it was the PlayStation 2 only had 2 controller slots.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could only play co-op.
You were allowed to have one friend, and that was it.
That's it. No, if you have more than one friend, you're showing off.
You only need one. No one needs 2 friends.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. And then, yeah.
I got something to tell you.
You got to vote. Oh, no. Oh, no.
If you don't know who it is, it means it's you.
Uh-oh. Yeah, so I feel like, as consoles have gone more online, more like single player full screen experience, we've moved beyond co-op. But I'm glad we're here to bring it back, to like really recognize what are the great co-op games.
I'm bringing co-op back. Right?
What?
Is this supposed to be Justin Timberlake?
I'm bringing co-op back. I'm bringing co-op back.
Them other ballers don't know how to act. Oh my goodness.
Man, sometimes they hit and sometimes they miss.
It was
that one was
that was a hit, all right. All right, let me get started. I'm gonna put it out there. It's on all of our lists. I know it.
Simant.
No, Halo, Combat Evolved, Halo 2, Halo 3, like those are the great co-op Halo games.
This is
podcast.
One time when I can't trash Halo, because Halo co-op was great. Yeah, the campaign was phenomenal. Driving warthogs with a buddy in the back, just lighten up the.
That's the best country
Covenant
song I've ever heard. Driving a warthog with a buddy in the back.
You gotta sing that in a country tune there.
Gotta get that twang.
Yeah,
not at all.
So did we all own Xboxes and we all played Halo and Halo 2?
Yep.
Because I did.
I sold my PS2 to buy an Xbox to play Halo and Halo 2.
Did we all play it with the Behemoth controller?
What was with the... I don't want to go on that rant, but the white and black button, like, I get it operated your flashlight, but did you need a dedicated 2 buttons for a flashlight? But yeah, we can... Sorry.
Anyway, so I love the co-op
just
campaigns in Halo. Todd needed bailed out.
It was like a hard drive. Like there was like a buffering symbol just on Todd right there.
Todd jumped out the airplane and realized there was no parachute. Yeah.
I just kept waiting to see what happened. Good save there, Paul.
Yeah. No matter what you do, under any circumstance, never. It's like Michael Scott. Sometimes he just starts and doesn't know where it's going. So the campaigns in Halo and Halo 2 were so fun to play with a buddy and to play co-op. Now, I was dating my eventual wife, Nikki, and we would play tons of Halo together with her cousins and her brothers. And I have such a specific memory of playing Halo 1 with my brother-in-law, Timmy, and also my brother-in-law, Jason. And both of them would inevitably get bored. And you would start to hear them, start to laugh, and then they would open fire because Halo had friendly fire in the campaigns. And they would grow bored, and the next thing we knew, we would be shooting each other as much as we were shooting at, what were the bad guys called? The Covenant?
The Covenant, yeah.
The Covenant.
Well, yeah, the Covenant, the Flood.
Yeah. So we, I think, fought each other as much as we fought the enemies in that game.
Something they did that was fantastic is just the skulls. Like, so you can beat the whole game and then go back and like, let's find the skulls in all these rounds or all these matches. And like, they unlock like no HUD or just harder and harder difficulty in the game. And it was just so fun. Like, back in the day, going in and printing out how to find the skulls and then bringing them and then having a group of friends over and then like going through the pages and being like, oh, like we're on this page, who has this page, like we need to find the second skull, or like I don't know, there was so many different levels to co-op, whether it was online or in person, and Halo, for me, at least, did it best.
The size of the maps helped a lot. The fact that you had vehicles, what was the big tank? The Scorpion, right? Isn't that the big tank? Like, remember you could get the Scorpion and then the guy could, like, your buddy could ride on the side of it and still, like, light guys up, with his gun while you're shooting stuff with the big tank gun. You had the, I don't think they had that in 1 and 2, but the helicopter, that was later. I think that was later Halos and stuff. But I mean, like I said, the Warthog was great. And like what Paul, there was nothing like accidentally sticking your buddy with a sticky grenade.
Sticky grenades, yeah.
Right. And just watching it glow on whatever part of his body it accidentally hit. And then just being like, uh-oh.
Oops. Yeah.
And then just, he's dead.
Or even like, driving Warthogs in areas you're not supposed to get Warthogs in. And like doing all of that nonsense. It was just as much fun goofing around in that game as it was actually beating it. And that's why it's always going to be number one on my list.
Number one in your
I actually
heart,
have a funny memory of like, so my brother is a few years older than me. So all of his friends were older than me and mostly better at video games just because they were older. But I have this clear memory of like, he was in high school, I was in middle school, I was on the phone with like one of my middle school girlfriends, back in the day.
Ladies man, huh?
She, like, it was one of those girls who would just talk just forever. So you're just on the phone listening. So my brother came upstairs and was like, hey, I need your help. I want you to be on my team and I want you to embarrass my friends because I was very, very, very good at Halo. Only Halo, but like just Halo. So what happened was I put the phone on mute so like they couldn't hear the room, played around, destroyed everyone, and then like picked up the phone. And then she didn't notice. Still talking. Like, no recollection that I ever left. And that forever will be my, like, hilarious Halo moment where, like, you can sit down the phone, someone doesn't even realize you're gone, destroy everyone in a match, and then come back, pick up the phone, and just resume conversation. And that's why I can listen to you guys.
You've had practice.
So well. Yeah.
And this is why Todd loves Halo so much. He equates it with his glory days of showing up his brother's friends.
School.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone puts middle school in glory days.
Todd peaked in middle school. He's got girlfriends. He's beaten everyone in Halo. This is the best it ever got.
Beating high school kids in Halo.
There you go.
I mean, that's something.
That is.
All right, what do you guys have other than Halo? I mean, we can talk about Halo for an hour. I'm completely fine with that.
I think that about does it.
All right, so now that we got Halo CE, and let's go to Halo 2.
Yeah. Dual wielding.
This one's got to be on everybody's list, but I mean, I think I've played this game with more friends, and it's like if you say, hey, what's the best co-op game that you can play? It's Portal 2. Yeah, Portal 2. Wait, what did you say?
I said Overcooked 2.
Oh, yeah, I'm so glad you were joking there, Paul.
Yeah, Portal 2 is definitely on my list. Absolutely.
If you have, is Portal 2 on, is that even on console? That's not, you can't play that on consoles, can you?
Oh yeah, it came out.
Okay,
yeah,
I don't know.
It came out on Xbox because it's by Valve, so it was on the Xbox when it came out. Yep.
Okay. They had like a disc, like an orange box.
Yeah.
Is that right? Pack
Half-Life and Portal.
Man, was that not the best deal in gaming when you got Half-Life, Portal, and what was the other one?
Team Fortress.
Team Fortress? Yeah, Team Fortress. That's right. What a great deal.
Murder's Row of games.
Yeah. But I mean, Portal 2 to me is just, it's hilarious. It's a great game. It holds up to this day. I'm playing it with my daughter. Yeah, and she loves it. She thinks it's great. And it's, I don't even know how old that game is now. What is it, like 20 years old?
Not quite, but yeah. I mean, Portal 2 is still so good, especially playing on PC. You have the workshop. You can download so many things. And the single player was phenomenal in and of itself. But then when you start to throw in 2-player teamwork, it got even more interesting because there are puzzles where you have to interact with one another in order to make it through. So I played through Portal 2 on console on 360 with our friend Andrew. And I remember there was one puzzle in particular that took us a few minutes, but basically you had to get up to a high platform and there was no easy way to get up there. And what we ended up discovering is both of us had to jump off a huge cliff and shoot ourselves out portals toward each other so we would collide in midair and then you would fall straight down.
I still remember that level.
And that always stuck with me because I thought that was exactly how you incorporate 2-player mechanics into Portal, where you're not just playing next to each other, you're actually interacting to solve puzzles.
Well, and on that, the timing has to be right. Like, if you're off on the timing, you won't land on the platform because it's in the middle.
Yeah, you had to do the 1, 2, 3 jump. Yeah.
Yep. And it was great. Yeah.
There's so many great moments in that game. There's so many great puzzles. The cooperation involved from both people was really, groundbreaking at the time because both people really had to kind of pull their weight in some of the puzzles, but then there was such a good opportunity to like troll the other person. I don't know if you guys remember, but there's one level where one of you has to like push buttons that raises and lowers these platforms that are behind a wall. So it's almost like a little mouse maze, and you got to wait for your buddy to like run across. And if you hit the button while they're running across, it'll raise the platform and crush them against the ceiling. And my daughter and I killed each other. I mean, half a dozen times each, just cracking up. Like, no. Okay, I won't do it this time. Go ahead. They start running and just, they're dead. And then it's like, okay, like, let me have a turn now. And then, of course, it's coming. Like, but.
Right. Yeah. I think Paul and I ran through Portal 2 co-op a year-ish ago.
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
Something like that. And it was just that the entire time. Like, any chance. Like, first we discovered how to kill each other in each round. And then we'd figure out how to do the round. Like, even if it was opening portals, so like the little turret robot would shoot the other person straight up, or just smash them, or lock them out of doors. Like, it was that game's ripe for trolling.
The best part too is that GLaDOS would actually comment, like if you killed the other person, she'd be like, "Blue says you're looking fat." It's like, well, you're dying, Blue.
Well, yeah, and
pitting you against each other.
You don't hear, when you're playing on separate devices, you don't hear what she's telling the other person. It's not like that's a global thing. Right. It's like a very individual, like her whispering to you. Because I remember being like, Paul, did you hear that? That was weird. And Paul's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And it's that game's, it's so dang good and funny. Like, literally, if there's someone listening to this that hasn't played Portal 2, just buy it. It can run on any PC.
If you have not listened to anything else we have ever said, play Portal 2.
It's a perfect game.
It really is.
It's just short. That's the only thing you can say against it, is that you wish you had more.
Yeah, I do. I will say this. I love the fact that the single player campaign is, number one, so good. But then when you jump into multiplayer, it's a completely separate campaign, which I thought was great, because most puzzles, games, the multiplayer just pulls from the single player. Yeah. With Portal 2, they're two completely separate like games almost. They did a really great job with it.
Yeah, that's a great one.
All right, Paul, what you got?
All right, so when I think co-op, I mostly think about consoles, and I think about being in the same room with another person. And growing up, I did not own any video games. However, one of my best friends had a Sega Genesis. And so one of my favorite memories is sitting and playing Golden Axe 1 and 2 with my friend John.
Yes.
And it was so fun playing a beat-em-up side-scroller set in the fantasy world.
Golden Axe was so great. And there's probably a ton of people listening right now that are like, Golden Axe? Like, what is that?
I'm with them.
Yeah.
What is Golden Axe?
So incredibly fun to play with your buddy. So basically, it was set in a fantasy world. And, actually, this was my introduction to the fantasy world because I did not read Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit. My dad was very much into sci-fi. So everything that he read or watched, it was like Star Trek. My mom was very much into romance novels. There was no introduction to fantasy. And for me, it was Golden Axe. This is the first time I ever saw a dwarf or played characters who had mana bars and could call down elements and use them as powers. But Golden Axe was just an old school arcade game. You could play two at the same time. You could play as a dwarf with a battle axe or a barbarian or an Amazon woman. And you would just kind of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Simpsons style. You would fight all the enemies on the screen. You'd walk to the right. It would load the next content. You would fight big bosses. Josh, did you used to fight with your friends over who would get to ride the dinosaurs?
Oh, absolutely. What was it? Was it like a Triceratops, right?
There were a couple different ones. It might have been a dragon, actually, because I remember one of them would shoot fire out of its mouth, and like the other ones would do a tail whip. But yeah, you would always fight over who would get to ride on the mounts, and that was always really neat. But yeah,
Wow.
it was a very cool game where every character would use a different element to fight the enemy, and it would damage everyone on the screen. So the dwarf would call down lightning strikes, and the Amazon woman would call down fire, and it was so much fun playing in that world with a friend.
Yeah, the spells were like the big board clears, right? If I remember right. It's been a long time, but that was the big, like, use your spell, because you're getting overwhelmed. And then it was like, whoosh, just wipe the board. I still to this day remember that the big barbarian guy's name was Axe Battler.
Oh, I did not remember that.
I don't know why that's one of those weird things that sticks in my head, but it's just like, I'm Axe Battler. But he didn't actually have an axe. It was the dwarf that had the axe. So I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like, who came up with this and then didn't give that guy an axe?
Yeah, maybe that was some of the Japanese translations, because it was a Japanese game.
Do you know how old this game is?
1991?
Oh, let me see. Wait.
So old that last time I played it, I fell off my dinosaur.
Literally.
Boom!
Boom.
Got him.
There it is. At least one
sorry.
Step Brothers
I
reference
had
in
to.
episode. Yeah, so Golden Axe. And I remember later in life, I found out there was a Golden Axe 3 that I had no idea about when I was younger. And if you guys remember when we played GTA Online, remember when you would buy and own an arcade, you could stick arcade games in there. And I bought a game that was really just an homage to Golden Axe. And I remember Josh and I immediately really loved it and actually played it for a long time.
Yeah, we played that game for longer than I'd care to admit. For a game that's inside a game.
That's one of the great things about GTA 5 is you get stuck on games inside the game. Like there was in the casino just playing blackjack forever, or I don't know. Yeah, you get stuck games inside of a game.
Yeah, I'll say this, man. The because we can just lump all these things together, but the side scroller beat 'em ups, I loved that genre. I'm sad that genre went away. Streets of Rage was great. Double Dragon was great. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was great. I mean, there was so many good ones.
Did you play River City Ransom?
I did play River City Ransom.
That was probably my favorite.
What was
of
the one?
bunch.
What was the one with the? Was it Streets of Rage that had like the? All I remember is the guy would go Julio, and he'd grab me and he'd like jump up and spin him around and pile drive him in the air. I do
not remember that.
Yeah.
I don't think I played that one.
It might be Streets of Rage if I remember right. I can't. Yeah, but there was so many of those games that were just so much fun, and they were great co-op because like you'd be like, help me, I got too many guys coming on this side.
I think it was for Sega. Power Rangers had a fantastic side scroller game when I was in elementary school.
I don't think I ever played that one.
Yeah, they must have given that to
Rangers. It was
little
great.
kids.
Yeah, I think Josh and I are I remember I was kind of on the cusp thinking I was too old for Power Rangers when it came out.
Yeah.
It was I remember it was like Power Rangers Jurassic or something like that. Like not the original. It was like slightly beyond that.
Was that one of those games you got in your Burger King kids meal? Like you got that in a little paper crown you got to wear?
Don't hate on the paper crown. I don't care how old I am. If I go to Burger King, I'm getting a paper crown.
Do they still give those out?
Yes.
Wow.
I remember always wanting that from Burger King and Long John Silver's. Long John Silver's had crowns, or they had pirate hats.
I was going to say, what does that have to do with crowns? Couldn't I get a little, like, paper pirate hook? You know? That'd be better. Wouldn't that be more fitting for...
To hit the chicken?
Yeah, well, it's Long John Silver's,
the food?
so they had fish.
Like, that's how... you don't have a fork, you don't have a spoon, you have a eating hook. At Long John Silver's.
Yeah. Isn't that how you eat most of your meals?
Yes, with my fancy eating hook. Next on my list, I have Call of Duty Black Ops Nazi Zombies, specifically. Forget the rest of the game.
This is where my confession that I never played Call of Duty games comes back into play, Todd.
That's why we need to buy the new Call of Duty just so we can play the zombie mode.
They're not even going to have zombies at first, are they?
No, they are. It's releasing with zombies.
Is it? Okay.
It's amazing how many games end up with zombies in them. I remember when Red Dead Redemption added zombies, and that was like its own standalone game. That's incredible. You can throw zombies into anything, and I feel like anyone will play it. But Call of Duty already being a great franchise, throw in zombies. What's not to love? You can't go wrong with it.
I mean, it was kind of like Left 4 Dead, where it's like you have like a path you run, and like you try and bring the zombies into a certain room, and then someone has a weapon that can annihilate a ton of zombies, and then all of a sudden they're coming from two different ways, and you have to clear your path. And like my favorite thing about it was there was like a plan and a path, and like we played it with 4 people. Like we had 4 friends on all the time, and we like developed a route and a certain plan every time we played. And we got to the point where we were hitting levels like 45, 50, 55 regularly. And that would take, honestly, an hour and a half to 2 hours. And it was just like, we're going to play this game once. We have one shot at this tonight because it's going to take 2 hours to do this. And it was, let's see how far we can run it this time. And like my favorite was just the theater mode, or like the theater level where you would get this big circle where you can run. Everyone gets the weapons that they want. It's for sure like a very cherished memory, because like once you develop a plan, the game gets exponentially harder. And then once you get to those higher levels, it's like, it almost feels like a raid in some other games where like it's very intense. Everyone has like their own part. Like you can revive people, and then like you have healers and damage and all of this. And it's Call of Duty. Like, who would have thought?
One of these days we'll get Josh to play a Call of Duty. Just a matter of time.
Well,
this next one.
Yeah, I was going to say, remember I was saying that probably wouldn't buy it because it came out a week before Cyberpunk was supposed to release. Well, yeah, that's down the
womp, womp.
Keyword supposed to.
Yeah, supposed to. So yeah, I guess I'll be I'll be in for Cold War, guys.
Cold War. Nice.
Good news.
Oh my goodness. Paul, did you ever play Nazi Zombies?
I did. I played a little bit of that, and I played a little bit of Call of Duty 2 back when it was like a very simple World War II game. And those were like my 2 Call of Duty games that I played a fair amount. I didn't play a whole lot of them outside of those. And I think I played Modern Warfare 2 a bit. I wasn't the biggest Call of Duty guy, but I was always a fan. If I had friends pick it up, then I would play with them.
Gotcha.
Well, if it's releasing with zombies, Todd, then I will play it.
I mean, I feel like we could do a whole review on Call of Duty Cold War Zombies.
I think it would be a travesty if we didn't review Cold War when it comes out.
Yeah.
So the people have spoken.
Us?
Yeah. But, I'm sure other people out there speak too.
Yeah.
We'll find them.
Yeah. All right. This one I know is probably on a lot of our lists. And I mean, honestly, it's all of them, but Diablo.
Oh, yes.
Man, Diablo, this game, when the initial Diablo came out, was groundbreaking. And then they just got better for a little while. I mean, it's hard to capture that original feeling of the first Diablo, but it's just great in so many ways, man.
It's such a fun series, and Todd's given us looks like he's never played Diablo, but go look up the original box to Diablo, the box art, Todd. I think Diablo 1 had the coolest box ever in the history of video games. It's just Diablo's face in the dark, sort of just barely lit by fire, and then it just says Diablo underneath in flames. And I remember seeing the box, and I didn't know anything about Diablo. I just saw the box and knew I wanted to play that game. And I ended up buying it. Absolutely loved it.
That game looks very dark, like a game that Paul wouldn't like.
There's a lot of catacombs. There's a lot of damp cellars, things of that nature.
I have to own up to this one. I never played a Diablo game except for, I think it was a year or two ago, Paul. Like, there was a free weekend on Diablo 3, and I loaded it up, and at that point, it was just too dated. And I was like, there was no nostalgia to it. It was just, why am I playing this? The graphics don't look great. Like,
wait,
I don't know. I'm out.
Is this when we talked our friend McKinney into buying Diablo because we were all going to play it again? And then we played it for like 2 days and then just stopped playing. And then he kept going like, hey guys, we're going to play Diablo tonight. And we were like, maybe tomorrow.
What about Overwatch?
Yeah. And then he's like, wait a minute, did I buy this game for nothing? We were like, yeah,
and
sorry,
I told
man.
them not to buy it.
Well, there is also history here because me and my friend Curtis played hundreds of hours of Diablo 2. And Diablo 2, I remember he ran a barbarian and I ran a paladin. My paladin was this hammer build where he would chuck out a hammer and it would fly around the screen. And it was where people would host matches online and you could just run them for experience or loot. So everyone would host Mephisto runs or Bale runs. And Curtis and I would even host those and run them ourselves. Well, we convinced Andrew to buy Diablo 2 for like $20, and I think we played for like 3 more days and then dropped it. And then we literally did the same with Diablo 3.
Oh.
So Andrew has dropped a bit of money on the Diablo series, but I always say it's his fault. He buys it after the game's like 6 years old. It's like, buy it with us when it comes out, and we'll play it a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Diablo 3 came out in 2012, so it was much more groundbreaking at the time.
Just the best thing in that game was the big fights when things got chaotic. You and your buddy or buddies, because I mean you could play up to 4 people, but then you'd get that drop. You'd see the little loot it always spit out, and then you'd see like the gold on the ground and the gold name or something, and you were like, oh, like is this going to be great? And that was such a good feeling beating the bosses, because the bosses were hard, man. Those were not easy fights at the time. The exploring, it was such a good co-op game. Like, I know we've talked about this too, but Gauntlet, the game Gauntlet is kind of similar to Diablo in a way, but it's like, we've said many times, like, man, we'd love to play Gauntlet, just for the fun of it again, because those games, they're just fun, man. Co-op hack and slash games are just a lot of fun with friends.
Yeah, Diablo was one of the rare ones where it actually could be difficult, especially as you played through on the higher difficulty levels, because games like Gauntlet tended to be pretty easy. They were pretty casual. I feel like Diablo just kind of kicked it up a notch, and that always kept me interested playing longer. Procedurally generated maps was huge, so each time you played, it was a little bit different. They would randomize what abilities monsters would have and things like that. Great series. Yeah, I love Diablo. All right, and then we're back around to me, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right, so looking at my list, I got quite a few here. All right, I'm going to bring up New Super Mario Brothers Wii. Did you guys play that?
Mario Brothers.
I think
I played the Wii U, which I think was just the Wii U.
I believe that one was called New Super Mario Brothers Wii U.
But
which was basically the same mechanics, just a newer version.
Yeah, they like updated some
new levels.
Things. Yeah.
It was the same basic bones. So for anyone who doesn't know, my wife and I, we've mentioned it once or twice on the pod, but we adopted two sisters, and initially we were fostering them. And the first year that they moved in with us, we decided to buy a Nintendo Wii. So this is, I don't know, maybe like 2007, something like that. And when they first moved in, they were 13 and 10. And so we thought it would be great to buy something new. I remember we were very poor at the time, but we picked up a Wii and we got New Super Mario Brothers Wii. Well, the problem is that you could play with up to 4 people at the same time, but you would bump into each other or jump and hit someone's feet and then plummet to the ground.
And it's chaos.
Pure chaos. It is, dare I say, impossible to play with 4 people at the same time. So we bought this to be a good bonding experience, and we quickly learned it just evolved into all of us yelling at each other, and you would end up accidentally hitting a question mark box, and it would shoot out like 4 fire powers, but you would accidentally grab 3 of them, so then everyone's yelling at you. And if
that
one
is
person
unforgivable.
If one person ran fast, then the camera keeps moving. And if you fell too far behind, you would die. And so you'd be yelling at whoever's running in the front, and you could hit a button to intentionally bubble yourself. And half the time we were just yelling at one another, you know, Jennifer, just bubble, bubble and we'll pop you later in the level. And so it just turned out to be probably as much yelling at each other as it was fun. But that was a very memorable co-op experience. That has the really fun final Bowser fight where Bowser's running at you, kind of just destroying the level, and you have to keep running and outpacing him as he's destroying the level. And it was so hard when you would play with a group of 4.
That's funny to hear you say that, because I played with just my wife and I constantly was just like, Bonnie, bubble. Just bubble. I'll finish this level.
Yep.
Just bubble.
Just bubble and shake your controller, and then exactly.
Then I'll be fine.
My wife wouldn't play these with me because I want to go ahead and beat the level, and she wants to like explore every little nook and cranny and see if she can find some coins over here. Maybe there's a flower over there or something. And I would just run off, and she'd always be constantly telling me like, hey, slow down, wait for me, like, quit going so fast. And then finally she's just like, yeah, I'm not playing this with you because I don't like the way you play.
I mean, that's the thing with co-op games. Gotta do it together.
Yeah.
Unity in the game.
Yeah, it has to be cooperative, if you will. So, yeah, Mario Brothers, that was a rough go, but it was very memorable.
What was the one where it was was it Mario 2 or 3 where you could be Peach and Luigi and Toad? Which one was
number
that?
2.
It was it 2?
Mm-hmm.
That game was great. When that one came out and you got to play Super Mario Brothers with your friends, it was awesome.
Well, you would take turns. You didn't play simultaneously.
Wait, I thought you could.
Fun fact, did you know that Mario 2 was not initially a Mario game? They just designed it with brand new characters, and then after the success of Mario, they just reskinned the characters and made it Mario. Yeah, really? Mario 2 was not originally a Mario game. That's why it looks so different than Mario 1 and Mario 3.
That's crazy.
Really?
Who was your favorite to pick?
Oh, Peach. Peach was because she had the floaty thing. She could just
levitate.
Float. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Luigi could jump super high.
What was Toad's thing? He was faster or something?
I seem to remember him being the same as Mario, but maybe I'm remembering that wrong.
I think he was faster, if I remember right.
He might have been.
He was just short, like half the character height.
Well, he can't help that,
because they were taller. And it's a benefit sometimes. Got a hammer swinging, you're already short.
So since you brought up the old Mario games, Mario 1, when you would play, you did not alternate between levels. You would play until you would die.
Right.
Well, since I didn't own any video game systems, I would go to my friend Kyle's house, and he could just play and beat
that was the
game.
worst.
And I would just sit there and watch him. And then as soon as it's my turn, I would die within 2 minutes because I didn't own it.
I remember that. It was terrible.
Oh, so bad.
Or you'd just get unlucky and like one of the turtles with the hammers would hit you. And then, you'd get to play for like 30 seconds and then you'd be dead. And then your buddy'd play for 10 minutes. And you're just like, this sucks. Like, hurry up and die.
Yes.
You never rooted for your friend to fail like more than in
like
that
Mario.
game.
Yeah. Because then when they came out with Mario 3, whether you beat the level or died, it would go back to the other player. But yeah, Mario 1, play till you lose. Rough for those of us who didn't own it.
All right, next on my list, I have altogether as a series, Borderlands.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm with you.
It's a great single player game. It's an even better co-op game. I ran through 1 and 2 with my roommates in college, and that was like just the best of times. Like it was so much fun running through with like another friend, and like we had 3 or 4 people who would all play together, and like we'd just take turns and we'd go through and like we'd like upgrade all of our characters, upgrade all the guns, and it was fun. Plain and simple. Family, college, friends, fun.
And it was always so funny to play. That's what I loved. Like Claptrap having crippling depression, but having the really happy voice. I remember that being like in the very beginning of, maybe it was Borderlands 2. But yeah, that always stuck with me where he's like, my voice is just programmed to sound like this. Like he was always so chipper and happy, but would be depressed. And I always found that game to be immensely funny in the way it was written.
The humor in that game is great. The guns in the game were phenomenal. I mean, you had vehicles.
And funny.
Yeah.
The description on the guns were hilarious.
Yeah, there's I still remember in Borderlands 3, there's this long quest line. I forget what level it is, but you wind up getting the porta pooper, and it actually comes out of a porta potty is like the last step in the quest. And it just makes fart sounds as it launches. It's like a grenade launcher, but it launches like these caustic puddles, but it just goes and then this puddle would sit on the ground and it wrecked things, man. Like I remember it was like the strongest gun I had for a long time. And it's like, how good is that game that would put that in there and let you use it and then have it be a great weapon on top of that?
And I think it's funny we mentioned Portal and Borderlands in this episode because those are my 2 favorite funny games. And it's so hard to pull off a funny game, but when you do, it's memorable. Like it's amazing.
Yeah, I played a good bit of Borderlands 3, and I think Todd, you played with me a while. Paul, you played for like 20 minutes.
Borderlands 3 is my lowest games played to dollar ratio. I think I spent $40 or something on that game, and I literally played 1 session. And we had already played so much Borderlands 2 not that long prior.
Yeah.
So to me, I was still kind of sick of Borderlands 2 at that point. So I think I played for maybe an hour.
Let's go back.
Yeah, Borderlands 3 is great.
Let's do it.
But it is not vastly different than like Borderlands 2. And I think you were kind of hoping for something like new and fresh, maybe.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of more the same. And like I get that.
And with the art style, it can only really look so good. So it kind of looked the same, played the same. It's fantastic. At the time, I just wanted something a little bit different. But yeah, it's such a great series. Yeah. They're all fun.
All right. Man, I've got so many. I got so many on this list. I don't know. Let's go. All right, here's one that people may not be aware of, which is why I'm going to bring this one up. But Vermintide.
All right.
Yeah, we've talked about doing a show on this one. I think if we could convince Paul to do it, it would be like a good show to do. But Vermintide is Left 4 Dead with melee combat in the Warhammer universe. It's a direct ripoff of Left 4 Dead. Like, I don't think there's any notions that it's anything different.
Well, except everything is a rat.
Not everything.
Well, yeah, there's no zombies.
Everything is a rat.
All right,
Yeah.
It is a rat. It's just different kinds of rats.
There are rat patrolmen wearing helmets, carrying pole arms and spears, and
you
they come out
don't
and
mess
fight you.
with the patrol. Remember how hard those guys were if you aggroed them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because we would play those on like the highest difficulty. We played so much Vermintide 1 in particular, and then Vermintide 2. We got Todd to play it a little when we recycled back around.
When we started Vermintide 2, because that's what I missed. Vermintide 1. I didn't own a PC. I didn't talk to you guys. We weren't friends yet. Vermintide 2, I jumped in when you guys bought it, and I was in over my head. I wasn't expecting rat hordes. Like,
Yeah.
we're like stinking New York City on a, I don't know, fall day. When do rats
On a
come out
fall
in New
day.
York City?
That sounds pleasant, Todd.
On a warm fall day. I don't know. But yeah, that game is insane. It's hilarious on how absurd it is. You're fighting hordes of rats. There's different types of rats. There's like gas rats and like sneaky
Rat
rats.
ogres?
I don't know.
Rattling
Rat
guns.
ogres,
Oh.
rattling guns.
Dude, there's so many things that'll kill you in that game.
And it's like there's a lot of different, not puzzles, but like different quests and tomes you can pick up. And I don't know, it's a fantastic game. That's definitely like up there on co-op games.
It really is, and it was so unexpected. When the game launched, I just remember watching trailers, and it just looked so funny. And the rats can talk in the game too, so you'll hear them talking to one another, or they'll talk to you. And when they start the hordes, you'll just hear the bells ring, and you better find a good choke point because they're coming out by the hundreds. And you're just swinging that club, and by the end of it, you really are just surrounded by rat corpses everywhere. And it was so silly, but it was just it was just crazy running around smacking all these rats with your buddies. It was very memorable.
Yeah, it's so much fun too because there's different classes, so everybody could pick the class that they like the best. Paul, you ran around with the dwarf, right? With the guns
Yeah.
or whatever.
I had my
like,
sword and shield,
yeah,
but inevitably I'd end up running with my little fire pistols.
yeah.
Yeah, those things
Todd,
are awesome.
like the big soldier guy, Gruber, whatever his name was.
Well, I could charge through like a large group of rats, and then I had, it wasn't an axe, but it was like a spear with an axe on the end.
Yeah, halberd.
So like, yeah, I could just swing that thing around and just take out like 6 in a swing, and that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's a great game. If you've never heard of Vermintide, take a look at a few videos. It's actually pretty impressive.
If you're not afraid of rats.
Yeah, if you have a
If you
rat
are
phobia,
afraid of
don't play
rats.
Vermintide. Or maybe do, because you get to do nothing but kill rats.
Yeah. You get to exercise immense power over the rats. How funny.
Oh my goodness. All right, Paul, I think you have the last game for this episode.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure. All right. First of all, I got to say,
Make it good.
I'm surprised Josh didn't bring up Divinity 2 Original Sin.
It was on my list, and I thought about it, but I have not played it co-op. Like,
Oh,
I
you've
would
only played it
love
single.
to play that game co-op, but it would require a good time investment is the thing. You need a buddy that's like really willing to dive into that with you because the campaign's really long and it's a slower pace game. It's a phenomenal game, and I would love to play it co-op, but I would need a good friend to do that with me, and I don't think either of you qualify, so...
Oh, ouch. Shots fired.
Actually, Paul probably would. Paul
you're
has
fair.
the patience for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I do own it, and I really liked it. I ended up playing something else and got sidetracked, so I've always wanted to go back to it, because I only played maybe like 2 hours, but yeah, I thought you were going to bring that one up for sure. Also, shout out to X-Men Legends. I was always a huge fan of that series. Broforce, another great one that Todd and I have played a little bit of.
Get out of here. That game's chaos.
Great, arguably. maybe not. I don't have any others written down, so I just kind of ruined that last segment. I ran through all of them.
Here are all the mentionables, and
Oops,
my list
I
is done.
used up every one on my list.
Yeah, just about. Okay, so I will bring up another one. I mentioned it, I believe, on the Forgotten Gems episode, but that one's quite a while ago. The Lord of the Rings trilogy games were so perfectly made for you and a friend to go through. They came out, I believe, on PS2 and Xbox and GameCube, and just chef's kiss. Those games were perfect. It played through showing scenes from the movies. You got to play as Legolas or Aragorn or Gimli, and those games were beloved. Anyone who played it liked it. And those were very memorable games that I played with my wife's cousins. I remember just sinking so many hours into watching those movies over and over and reliving it in the games. Those were perfectly made.
And running through those, like, through the castle wall, kicking down, like, ladders, preventing people from coming up.
As the orcs would climb up, you'd be fighting them and you'd kick the ladder. So fun, and especially reenacting scenes in the movie. So you'd be Legolas jumping on a shield, kind of skateboarding while pulling out arrows and shooting everyone. And I remember Helm's Deep, you'd have to run back and help reinforce the gate because they'd be busting through. Those games were super, super amazing. I can't believe they don't make more co-op games like that. It really is a missing hole in gaming right now, I think.
Nobody mentioned Rock Band.
And no, get out of here.
Come
with
on,
that.
no, come on. That was a fun game, man. That was co-op.
Passed. It was fine.
I loved Rock Band.
Yeah.
Rock Band 4 was so good.
The guy that was good on the drums, the guy that was good on the guitar, the guy that could sing, like everybody was.
No one could sing.
All right,
Let's be
not,
real.
But that's true. But still,
everyone, the singer would be like
you
the
put the
last
worst person on the mic.
there. yeah. And then it would be like, I don't have to sing the words. I just try and have to hit the notes.
And here I thought I was just a really good singer.
High above me.
And Todd, that's why Todd gets the mic right there.
She's so hot.
Some Tal Bachman, I think was his name. That was a one-hit wonder.
Oh, for sure.
I loved Rock Band so much. I loved playing drums on it.
That was my
awesome.
favorite. I actually played guitar, so I hated that I couldn't play the songs on the hardest difficulty on guitar because, like, it's not actually playing the guitar on it. So I always went to the drums and played on, like, medium or hard and, like, had a blast. Like, that was where it was fun for me.
And the drums were pretty accurate to real life, whereas guitar is, like you said, it's nowhere near playing a real guitar. But the drums were actually fairly accurate.
Yeah. In college, I had someone who lived, like, right across the hall from me who was on the drum line for North Carolina State University, and he would put the drums on the hardest difficulty, and I don't think if you hit a pad when there wasn't a note, it would make the sound, but it wouldn't count against you. And he would 100% levels, but, like, add 10 times as many, like, drum hits as was required, because he'd be doing insane fills or, like, just weird snare stuff, and then I'd get on medium and, like, fail. And it was just insane, the level of caliber, like, that dude could play the drums. And then it was funny on Rock Band where, like, it didn't count against him for being better than the game ever expected any one person to be at drums.
Was his name Travis Barker by chance?
Actually, yeah, he went on to lead.
He had a lot of tattoos.
Lead drummer in Blink-182. Yeah,
yeah.
That dude's way older than me.
Beatles Rock Band, another fun one. Not very difficult, but very fun.
The Ringo Starr.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're almost out of time. I just want to mention this one because it's free to play now. It's a great co-op game, and there's a new expansion coming out. Destiny 2.
What? What's that
fantastic game? Destiny. It's by the people who make Halo. I wanted to start and end this episode with Bungie. Destiny 2, fantastic co-op. Great cinematics, great storyline. You can run through it by yourself or up to 2 other people. Unfortunately, there isn't 4-person co-op, but it's free to play now. I love Destiny 2.
Destiny 2 is a great co-op game. As much as I pick on Destiny, that game's great to play with friends.
I mean, we all beat it.
Yeah, early on.
Together.
Destiny 2 is great. I thought you were going to say Castle Crashers the way you were setting that one up, Todd.
I do like Castle Crash.
Todd always tried to get me to play Castle Crashers, and it was like 16 years old. I would always say no.
I was 16 years late to the party. I still haven't beat that game. Man. It's funny. Like a funny co-op game.
That's another funny one.
It's just fun to play. Like, that's what I'm learning. Like, if it's, solid gameplay and funny, it's going to be a fantastic co-op game.
I played that game with you guys once.
Oh, did you?
And only once.
Because you didn't want to play with us again, or because we stopped playing it?
The game was just not that great.
There's fart sounds. There's a lot of fart sounds. There's all the fart sounds. There's a level where I'm pretty sure you're on a deer, and the deer rockets forward through the level by poo as a propulsion.
Right. Well, I didn't get to play that level. Whatever level I played was boring.
Oh, you didn't.
But I'm
play
pretty sure I got the
Castle
game for like
then.
$3 at the time too.
It might have even been less. That's the kind of game you would always see on Steam for like $1.39. Yeah, on Steam sale.
All right. Well, that is our show for you today. Thank you for listening to, honestly, my favorite bonus round yet. If you're not subscribed, make sure to go into your podcasting app and subscribe to get fresh content twice a week. If you're interested in finding out more information about us, you can find us on our website, multiplayerpodcast.com, Patreon, multiplayersquad.com, and then all of the socials, Twitch TV, Twitter, Instagram, Multiplayer Pod. See you guys next week. Can you play Rock Band over online?
No.
If they had that, I'd be in. All of us on drums.
Are there any all drum bands? We could be the first, guys.
We could be a drum line. Is there a drum line cool version of Rock Band?
And I mean, let's be honest, drum lines are freaking awesome.
The movie Drumline, awesome.
Nick Cannon, he's hilarious.
Wait, what was the drum movie with the the one where he beats the kid up?
Whiplash.
Whiplash, that was it. Yeah, My Tempo.